I want to explain exactly what's going on. This morning, all eyes are on the southern border after President Trump and his top officials said he could close it entirely this week in response to a growing tide of migrants. Border officials have said the final total for March could show more than 100,000 apprehensions and encounters with migrants. That would be the highest monthly total in over a decade. It would also be up from 76,000 in February and up from 58,000 in January. Processing centers and detention centers are way over capacity, and officials have had to reassign border inspectors and agents to just help with the overflow. Hundreds of migrants are being released into the United States every single day because there's simply nowhere else to put them. The president, who plans to tour the border in California on Friday, says he wants to shut the whole thing down.
We have right now 2 big caravans coming up from Guatemala. Massive caravans walking right through Mexico. So Mexico's tough. They can stop them, but they chose not to. Now they're going to stop them. And if they don't stop them, we're closing the border. They'll close it. And we'll keep it closed for a long time. I'm not playing games.
But remember, it is not just migrants crossing the border, but about $1.7 billion worth of commerce between the United States and Mexico every single day. A study done in 2016 found that nearly 5 million United States jobs depend on trade with Mexico, nearly 1 million in California and Texas alone. When U.S. officials shut down the port of entry in San Diego last November, it cost the local community more than $5 million in lost revenue, and it was only closed for 6 hours. On top of potentially closing the border, the president has already ordered the State Department to cut off aid to countries in the so-called Northern Triangle. That's Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. It appears Congress might have to approve the decision, but if it does, it could impact $500 million in 2018 aid and millions more left over from 2017. The problem, of course, is that this money has traditionally gone to helping stabilize those countries, pulling people out of poverty, building schools, and improving services. The head of the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition said this, quote, "American aid to Central America is not charity, but an investment in our national security. The idea of suspending the relatively small but essential foreign assistance to the region will only exacerbate the root causes driving people to flee their homes: brutal violence, hunger, and instability." And she's not alone. Here's what then Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly, remember, John Kelly, what he said in 2017.
If we can improve the condition, the lot in life of Hondurans, Guatemalans, Central Americans, we can do an awful lot to protect the southwest border.
Fox News anchor Chris Wallace challenged the administration's position on foreign aid during an interview with the president's counselor, Kellyanne Conway, on Sunday. Listen.
Isn't it counterproductive?
Well, Chris, this is the classic case of let's talk about what may happen or what we are looking for versus what's right in front of us. How can people deny what they see, which is these caravans day by day, the people coming from the Northern Triangle countries and trying to come through this country? And there are very deplorable conditions that many of them are facing.
Yeah, but you're going to make the conditions worse.
The conditions are already awful. The conditions are already awful.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.